I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Welcome back to FAQ the Madness. We respectfully exercise our First Amendment right to publish interactions with government officials through the unbiased view of a camera. Let's jump into another rep. So about a month prior to the fallout, and when I say fallout, I'll explain a little bit more, but it's basically when I did a reaction video to the conversation that he and I did. I've explained this on air, and I've explained this to him directly. What I had done was modeled the look and the feel of what I wanted to do for a reaction video after KSI.
Hey, yo, what's up? Your boy KSI. I'm back with another Try Not to Laugh. I'm back from America. Did a couple bits over there. I'm sure you'll see it soon. I'm ready for this Try Not to Laugh.
That in mind, I just want it to be known that when I made the reaction video, I was trying to get the same look, which is a little comedic in some spots. Zoom in, shaky camera, all those kind of things. And in fact, I do a video that kind of shows how I do the setup. It makes it a very streamlined process for me. I'm now able to kick out more videos because of the setup that I was going to do. And I learned it from a video that the editor for KSI put out, kind of describing how he did his piece. So that's kind of the backstory of all this stuff. But I wanted to kind of, outline the lead up to how we got to the video, which I did as a reaction video. So I say, this is about a month earlier. Good morning. You mentioned that you had some things about Breonna Taylor that you possibly wanted to talk about. This, along with J6, I am game to explore. January 6th is what we're referring to. I've never looked into either that much, but I have since we talked last, starting with the B. Taylor case. First of all, I didn't know it was in Kentucky, your stomping ground, right? So if you give me an idea on your position about the case, for example, I believe I've heard you mention something about Miss Taylor associating with bad company or something like that. If you think it's something you want to go over, then let me know. I haven't quite formulated any opinion on anything yet, so you got me at a fresh perspective level. Have a productive day. And he wrote, I think doing the research together, even live on air as a discovery for both topics, would be more of a collaboration and less like a debate, seeing as how neither of us have done a lot of independent research on the subjects. I know what I know based mostly on news in regards to Miss Taylor. The only danger zone would be these topics are both very polarizing for people with strong opinions and few facts. So if, as we uncover perhaps inconvenient facts for pro-con types, it could ruffle feathers. I'm willing to risk offense to seek truth, though I do not want to pursue offending for the sake of offense. Thoughts? So you're saying research together on air, possibly? So two people looking at the same movie, right? And digging together versus simply stating our opinions, including a position and debating the points we agree on or disagree on. This could be as simple as getting an idea on logistics of the raid. For example, you being a person has been in combat before versus someone like myself who is not, looking at things from a trained eye and a reasonable citizen looking at things. We could develop a position on how well they adhere to. Am I getting you correctly? By the way, I'm not quite ready to start my day, but I imagine we can discuss this at another time via phone if we need. But if we can sort of develop an approach via text as a look into how we would approach it. Maybe Nikki could give you some thoughts on how she would think it would be received and or if it is interesting. You two seem to be creating a cool format you can both work with. Bravo, by the way, with that. He wrote, sure, we can also research beforehand and have items prepared to display as well if you wish. That way we both have reasonable receipts and not just feelings to put forward. I like the idea of two topics are having clearly been used by the left-right as an attack vector. If this is something you'd be interested doing Tuesday morning, you can put links into private chat on StreamYard to share our discoveries to be added to the show. So that was I can't remember which one, if the Breonna Taylor came first or if the it was kind of the immigration issue is what the ultimate video came up to be. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit to when he and I talked about my piece. Okay, so March 1st, I wrote, premiering my treatment of our last FAQs with FAQ later on today after errands. If you share what you might have going on, I can slip into an open window. Great show. So funny, I didn't even see last night's live. Within 1 minute, I hear FPS went live just as I did. LOL. You tell me to let you know so you can support, but in reality, I know you're busy, so if you can support, do. But eventually, LOL. I just try not to bump heads, but it's a big ass pond. Now to see what I miss. Watching now, fell into a food coma and wife didn't come down after work is expected to wake me up. LOL. Better late than never, except when you need a nap. He said, wish you would have spoken up a bit more during the show. I wrote, there was 3 hours of show total. This was only a smidgen. We had plenty of dialogue. I'm experimenting with the style that I need to have to make a quality representation from all that I have, hence the reaction type product. Both will get better. And then he wrote, it is the level of mockery that I am not sure you were aware of or intending. You asked questions which I did my best to answer, Craig. Then you mocked the thoroughness of my answers over and over again. Perhaps this was not your intention. I did mention several times, based on an odd amount of silence and lack of pontification on your side, that you seem to have taken a posture of disagreeing without explaining how or why you disagreed. Maybe you were showing a greater level of respect to me, but by not wanting to interject. That said, the response video makes it clear that you found my explanations to be annoyingly overlong and wholly inadequate at the same time. Out of respect for you, I did my best to answer your questions in good faith, even though I was slightly surprised you presented yourself as lacking understanding of what I thought were simple concepts. Based on your reaction video, which I expected a more responsive and immediate response in the moment during the show, you either disagreed vehemently, yet remained silent until the reaction video, or you needed a period of reflection in order to explain your thoughts. Either way, it seems you are doing quite a bit of mocking and scoffing after the fact. If I am misunderstanding this reaction video, please feel free to illuminate. At any point, you could have said you were encouraged to interject and share your thoughts. I wrote, are you saying you don't think I indicated during the show when I agreed with you or disagreed? I feel I made both of those clear during the entirety of the show. And again, I compiled a few moments out of 3 hours. My reactions are as much of my own as is of yours. You shouldn't feel mocked. If you do, then I hope you figure out that you shouldn't. Sometimes, by the way, silence is not a bad thing. Maybe you can point out an instance where you felt mocked. I, for example, say something about what my perception of diversity is, and you said I wasn't being very diverse. By the nature of our disagreements and meeting halfway, are we diverse? I hope you would diversify your feelings so you recognize mockery is not the intent of my pontificating. Real time, or when I sit down and rewatch an entire show. It seems talking with me is not like talking to yourself, like you say it is, like when you engage Jericho Green. But don't take that to mean I am mocking you. I thought you welcomed it. It's possible I was wrong. By the way, lastly, being completely disagreeable doesn't always make for progression as it relates to discussing ideas or possible solutions. Sometimes silence works to set the table for immediate or later consideration. I promise I am not trying to be elusive or avoid talking. It might come out as a giggle or pause, very rarely an outburst. This allows me to handle outbursts towards me as well, which you and I have not had. Overall positive in my opinion. I've heard you mention the types of things your wife does and provides for you. Oh, this was later on that evening. I'm similarly yoked with my wife to be, in that I value her opinion and she knows me better than anyone other than my mother. She also perceived some of the cut ends as me mocking things that you were saying. Even when I provided context, she felt it wasn't clear why my snippets existed or that the purpose was not to mock. I will again ask that you forgive me for doing or saying anything that might seem disrespectful or mocking you. Like I said, even with an explanation, she felt it came across as me mocking, understanding that it is okay for us to disagree. How I express that either on air or in studio is dependent on how I deliver. I will try again. I'm a work in progress. This was an exercise in efficiently editing in a different style. It seems my execution was bad. I will be happy to chat with you and calibrate a bit. Let me know when you get some time. Take care. Wife is heading up to bed soon, so my schedule is clear in about 15 minutes. That will work for you. Anyway, so we had, I think, a couple of times where we couldn't quite get our text together, and we hadn't talked for a while, so our schedule's a little off. We ended up talking. I did describe to Todd that my wife and my uncle, they both indicated that they thought that the way that it came across was me mocking him. I told him that wasn't my intent. I literally was trying to be a little bit more lively, entertaining on some level, which may not be my style ultimately. Again, I am still trying to find my voice as it relates to how I come across to my audience and my supporters and even the people who I do shows with. And in this case, there was a couple of instances that I found to be surprisingly in opposition to the way that I thought, and appalling might be too strong of a word, but surprising. I mean, some of the ways that Todd thinks are sort of out there. I mean, I created an image that had him underneath the um, aluminum foil hat because I thought it fit one of his shows. We talked about what it is that I was trying, what I intended on doing, and how it came across, how he perceived it to be, what my true intent was with regards to outlining the differences of opinion that we had before, during, and after the show. If he was offended, he indicated that he was no longer offended and he understood what I was coming for. He had me on his show to describe that, to kind of show solidarity with regards to us not having a rift or a tiff. I cannot seem to find that show where I came on and kind of talked about things. But I did find all the other shows that I was looking for that kind of outlined or shows the progression of our relationship as it pertains to FAQs with FAQ the Madness. So, um, and then he goes, and after all is said and done, after we separate and after I go on to the Finkle show, he kind of comes out with his own little statement without me on the air or without me being present. And that's fine. You can do that. Continue.
One of these two things is wrong, and maybe we can correct the record. Also, in regards to Fact the Madness, Cliff, you were the first person that I showed that video to because I was like, am I misreading this? Cliff, do you remember? Do you remember that? Do you remember when I said, am I misreading this, or is this a hit piece? And you initially tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, and then the more you watched it, you said something very in particular. You said, yes, that's 100% a hit piece. Craig's own wife said the same thing. His own uncle said, why are you attacking this man? This man has been nothing but respectful to you and tried to promote your channel. Why are you, and I'm paraphrasing, why would you come after this man like that? Why?
I'm glad that he mentions that he's paraphrasing, because what I told him was not exactly that. But again, we addressed this and we had multiple shows thereafter. So the fact that he brings it up, I think, is kind of disingenuous.
Why are you acting the way that you're acting in this video? Now, I find it interesting that the video that I will be reviewing with Craig, where he's kind of shaking his head and he's mocking and he's laughing and everything's a big joke and he's acting like he's falling asleep because I talk too much and I'm too damn boring. You made a video, Craig, in which you could spend as long as you wanted for as much time as you wanted to talk about the things you wanted to talk about. And all you did was sit there and pantomime, acting like a child. You added nothing to the conversation. You claim that you disagree with me on pretty much everything, yet during the show, you refused to speak up. And then, even after that, when you had an opportunity to make your own video explaining as clearly as you wanted to how and why you disagreed and bring the evidence to bear so that maybe you could educate me, you still chose to act like a weird goofball. I don't know how any other way to explain it. And Craig, I overlooked that. And that was 3 months ago.
So he brings up the time frame for which this was, and he says, you act like a goofball. And we talked about that. We talked about how normally I'm very even keeled and normally I'm, very serious. And so it was odd for him to see me doing those things. I explained to him, in fact, that is Todd, brought up something that he thought that I took down this particular video. I didn't take it down. I kept it up because the things that I talked about, and in fact, I was willing to come on a show with you and Cliff, and we talked about this very video that you were talking about. So you overlooked what? You overlooked the fact that it really wasn't the look that I was going for, so to speak. That yes, I did have time to come up with a style of video that I was trying to accomplish, the different editing techniques, and we talked about that as well. Hit piece is not a way that I would describe it because I was demonstrating that I disagreed about a couple of points, and out of the 2.5 hours or however long the show was, I picked a few points that I may have disagreed with, and I made some facial expressions. But my facial expressions compared to some of the things that you do and say are far, far, far away from each other. And the fact that you think that all of a sudden this delineates my loyalty to you or whatever. You are a grown man. I'm a grown man. And we have the propensity to disagree with each other. And we've done so more poignantly on shows together repeatedly over different things. Now, in this video that we have right now, I am going to kind of try to highlight what it is that you're talking about on points that we've disagreed about. I mean, so be it. I think that your point, all of a sudden, you're bringing this up as if it's something that kind of foreshadowed all of the things that you've been suspecting about me with regards to what my true intent was and how much you've participated in building my show and my image. I think that is definitely not accurate, and it's I give you credit. I give credit where credit is due, but there are much more. There are many more things that I would say that are damaging. And when I say damaging, I don't mean it in such a very harsh word. Maybe that's too strong of a word. I'm just simply saying that the relationships, the conversations I have with other people, on some level, is always at an arm's length because of the relationship that you and I had having a show together.
And I put that in my back pocket. We had a conversation. My wife said it was a hit piece. You agreed that it seemed like it could have come off as a hit piece. You told me with your own mouth, Craig, that your own wife said it was a hit piece. Your own uncle said it was a weird way to come after me, and it seemed a little disconjuncted, basically, and I'm paraphrasing. I thought it was a hit piece, and I'm not sure if Nikki saw it and said that she thought it was a hit piece, but Cliff for sure was the first one I showed it to, and he said, "Yeah, you're not overreacting. That's 100% a hit piece." So were you telling me the truth?
So what did we do though? See, that this is the thing that I'm talking about. We did talk about it. I'm not saying that we didn't talk about it, Todd. We did talk about it. I told you what my intent was. My intent was not to offend you or make fun of you or make a hit piece. My what I was doing again was experimenting with a particular style. In fact, I did another video which showed me doing much better with regards to the style, more efficiently, those kind of things. And I conceded to the fact that maybe some of the things that I did might have come off as might not have come off the way that I intended. And so after we talked about it, I went on the show with you, which I cannot find. I cannot find the show where I came on and I talked about the fact that there was no rift between you and I, and the video that I created didn't come off the way I wanted to, etc. All on the show. I can't find that show, Todd. But I found some other things. Found some other things where you uh, said and acted a certain way, and then someone does something similarly, and you in what I would possibly consider a hypocritical way, uh, react or overreact as it were. So I've been consistent in my interaction with you, and you've been quite the opposite.
Then, Cliff, or are you telling the truth now? I'm just curious. Now is the opportunity for you to clear the record, Cliff. Because and was your wife telling the truth?
I'll go back, but I think Cliff was talking about disavowing the attacks on your military service. This is far different than saying anything about your military service. In fact, I've said the exact opposite. And I think that this is an Army thing. I really don't understand why it is that I mean, I guess if somebody claimed that I didn't do something which I know I had done, I mean, I wouldn't give a shit because I know what it is that I have done. I know when I'm being honest about something, I know when I'm being dishonest about something, and I know whether I served or whether I didn't.
Then, Craig, when you volunteered to me that even your wife said it was a hit piece, or did you just say that to me to placate me? I'm just curious, man. I'm just absolutely curious because I'm going to be reviewing the video soon, and we'll let the viewer decide whether or not
You should review it, and when you do, I don't care whether I'm there or not. We actually reviewed it on air already. It appears that you took it down, and maybe you might edit it or something like that. And this happens to be during a time when I don't remember specifically whether or not I had I don't know if I had the resources at the time in order to record a show or whether or not I did, but I went back around the same time because I have a text thread that I sent to you, which will clearly, well, I have a text thread about another instance, and I think that I also have a text thread with regards to your interaction or your reaction to the video. So, but I don't have any video of us talking about it on air, but I distinctly recall us doing so. So all I'm going to say, or all I'm saying is that you had access to the show, and I thought that I did, but I cannot find it any longer. And so I'm interested in you reviewing your your review of the review. So do
you
it.
showed me any kind of grace when we developed IP that was always intended to be your intellectual property, Craig. I had talked to you for like months saying this is something that I would like to see be your baby. I mean, after all, the idea came from FAQ. All right, let's do frequently asked questions with Craig and NGS. Let's let this be your baby. Over and over and over again, live on my show, I begged you to interrupt me. I begged you to contribute. I begged you to participate. And you sat there and didn't say much of anything. And then when you had an opportunity to make a video, you mocked me and acted as though I talked too much. But it's an interesting thing, Craig. you know, you just sit there in silence is not really compelling internet content, man.
You might be right. It's more likely that it's very entertaining for you to off the chain and react and look like a fool.
Look at, man, you're fucking zerging out.
Well, no, I'm just saying that
You're
just
fucking insufferable.
it's disinformation, man.
Yeah, that's entertaining. That is great content. You are correct. And in fact, we talked about the fact that at times I conceded to the fact that you have done this far longer than I have. And when I say done this, I mean put yourself in front of the camera, interact with other people, interview people, those kind of things. And so I kowtowed, if maybe the right word, or I allowed you to have the front stage and talk more often than I would, even when I disagreed, until I didn't. Until I decided that I did have some things that I disagreed about, and we talked about those things, both on air and off the air. And what did you do with those things? First of all, a lot of them were about racial things, systemic racism, those kind of things, the origin of the word slave, a number of different things, which we talked about on air and recorded. And you, sir, are the one that decided that you no longer wanted to have those discussions, at least not with me, but you would rather do so just to your audience. And I can show at least on at least one instance that I'm aware of, where you'd rather just have monologue about your thoughts on these things. Because when you and I began to more diligently engage each other, I don't think it went as well as you thought it would. So we stopped doing that. And there are many instances where instead you seemed foolishly eager to speak your mind about random things that you either were aware of, were knowledgeable of, or not so much. Repeatedly, sir, repeatedly.
So if you're not willing to break the silence and add something to the conversation, then you can't complain later that you weren't given an opportunity to add something to the conversation. So officially, you can't claim, first off, that you're not into drama, and then you run to Finkle's channel saying, I want to offer my platform as a kiss and make up peacemaking venue for everyone to go to. And then your own partner who you had a show with had to find out 2 or 3 days after you had the show, when you have my phone number, Craig, when were you going to let me know that you wanted to offer your venue as a kiss and make up session for all the people involved? The person who claimed that they did not want to get involved in drama, when you found out that there was some drama between Chris, Cliff, Nikki, and myself, what did you say? What did you say? You made a quick short going, I'm going to have to get to the bottom of this. I'm going to have to talk to all the people involved to find out what's really going on. You sound like a gossip girl, Craig. Are you interested in drama, or are you not?
So, I mean, I think it's very fascinating that you seem to think that what I was saying was that I was interested in gossip. Getting to the bottom of it, being able to discuss what it is that you were talking about. That is what I offered. I said on Finkle's show, by happenstance, we talked about a number of things. I didn't bring it up. I was responding to their inquiries about something that you said, is I think how it started. He said something to the effect that you warned that if I began, because of the show that we had, that other people would stop liking me or wouldn't be able to engage with me. I responded to that assertion. And then I said, and I've said this to you before, that one of the things that I am least that I like the least about panels is that you have multiple personalities that are, you know, alpha type personalities that want to speak and demonstrate their ability to hold a conversation, be entertaining, all those kind of things. So everybody wants to talk. And specifically when you have an issue like this, and everybody all of a sudden who were buddy buddies, all of a sudden stop being buddy buddies. Not my platform per se. I just said I would be willing to like moderate it or something like that. And the word moderate comes from, I don't remember that lady's name, but you were participating on some panels with a young lady who I thought actually did really, really well at keeping people at bay, allowing people to speak but not overspeak, putting them in the basement when it was necessary, but not doing so in a way just because they were angry at somebody or somebody wasn't properly agreeing with whatever. She was very neutral. And I feel like the way that I thought my thoughts were that I would be capable of moderating, so to speak, an engagement with the individuals that that were involved, whether it be Cliff Williams, whether it be FPS, um, the Angry Vet, all of those people, and you, all of those people, and Finkel. At the time, I don't think that I considered Finkel to be opposed to you or vice versa. I mean, let me rephrase that. I knew that he had concerns or issues that he discussed, but I wasn't necessarily understanding where it all came from. And all I was suggesting was that I would be willing to moderate something like that. You know, let's all kiss and make up. I can't even remember exactly what it was. I might try to see if I can find the exact wording of that conversation. And I remember us having a show, and somebody did mention about me going on, being on Finkel's show and saying something. And similar to what I've heard you say multiple times during a show or even by yourself, you know, over the 5 hour lives that you have, or 2 hours, whatever that you have, that occasionally you'll be paying attention to the person you're conversing with versus what the chat was saying. Now, I did see it, and I don't remember exactly why it wasn't appropriate at the time to mention it to you or even call you about it. But the internet is fairly large, Todd, and it doesn't revolve around you. And I happen to be a grown-ass man, as are you. So when I spoke about something on a show that was not that involved you, or at least referenced you, but wasn't so big or large, or something that we didn't revisit over and over again, it didn't come up again. I didn't feel the need to call you about it, so I didn't. And that you are hurt over the fact that I didn't tell you first about something that I mentioned in passing about trying to smooth things over people who could talk about ideas, who were veterans, by the way, who are veterans, by the way. And I'm not going to apologize for that. And then that you took it the way that you took it, so be it. All right? What do you want me to do? I can't be any more than what I am, which was simply a person who is willing to have dialogue, who is willing to talk with amongst people and allow other people to speak, which is what I was trying to do. I reserve the right to be able to allow the words that I say to be presented in a way that I can present it. Not always does my rambling have to be heard or broadcast, which is why sometimes we don't do lives, we pre-record them.
Because you're talking out of both sides of your mouth right now, Craig. So
Sure.
I'm just going to call you out. You're not going to sit here and play this little fence-sitting, consummate gentleman who just he's not interested in drama, and then stick your nose in all the drama you can possibly stick your nose in.
So that may be the way that you see it. And I beg to differ. My interactions with you directly have influence or had influence on many or some of the potential interactions that I would have with anybody else, as evidenced by the fact that I had a conversation that talked about something that I was directly involved with, that being your ass, you, sir, and whether or not they agreed or disagreed that my having a show with you or interacting with you, a friendship, if you were, an acquaintance with you, had any bearing on a relationship with anybody else. And by the way, as again evidenced by some of the support and or clarifications of that support of me as it relates to having been introduced to the audience through the interaction with you, and then thereafter people clarifying what their thoughts were with regards to me and the support that they would or would not give. So all of these things, being filtered through you, there are many people that we have influence over. And when I say influence, I'm not trying to suggest that I'm this grand influencer or that you, sir, are a grand influencer as well. You have a voice. Sure you do. And so do I. I've had this voice for quite some time now. And the fact that I talk about some of the things that I talk about in front of people is a function of something far different than anything that you have to be involved with. So, lest we forget, that is not necessarily us that are the center of this universe, this little small ass piece that we have or that we partake of, that we are privileged to be able to engage. And I've said this before, we, at least on my side of it all, we are not the heroes in this story. It is something else far bigger than us. So the fact that you have a problem with me having a free mind, me being an uppity ass Negro, if you will, you can live with it. All right? How about that?
The question is, Craig, which is it? Are you not interested in drama, right? Or are you interested in drama? Did you offer your venue as a place for us to all talk and bury the hatchet, as it were? And then why you wouldn't tell the guy who you have his own personal phone number that you were wanting to do this? So you're about self-promoting. You're about your and here's the funny thing, Craig. I promoted the hell out of you. I promoted the hell out of your channel. I was one of your biggest fans, Craig. I wanted to see you succeed more than any, and I still hope you do, Craig. I hope you have a wonderful, happy, long marriage. I hope you have a bigger house. I hope your wife is incredibly happy and content, and that you have that everything that you have in your heart is given to you. I really do. I hope nothing but success for you in your future, Craig.
Likewise, and I appreciate the offerings of good tidings. How sincere you are, I don't know, because the platform that you describe, I mean, honestly, you've either inflated, conflated, whatever the word is, you've misconstrued the fact that I said anything about having multiple people come together. We had a show that we talked about things, and whether or not we had it that we did it at the same time, there are 6 other damn days that shows can be made. So whether or not I came to you and told you about the fact that I had even discussed it with somebody else for however long it was, whether it came to fruition or not, I don't owe you, damn it, in order to get your permission to be able to talk about other things, whether you're involved with it or not. That is just the simplicity of it all. The simplest way that I can put it is that every single thing that could have occurred didn't have to go through you. I think that we equally participated in how the show went, and we equally grew. I mean, I grew because of the experience. So thank you for being the vessel that you were. And I think I've said so much on the air and to you directly. So all of this other bullshit that you're talking about is just that. Doesn't hold much heat. It's gotten cold real quick. And yes, you did on occasion, quote unquote, promote my show. But did you do that for your sake or for mine or for the audiences? What was the purpose of you doing that? Because what then did you want from me in exchange? Did you want somebody who was willing to engage you, that was willing to sharpen you, as you put it, to rebuke you when rebuke was necessary, to have conversations with you with grace, not in front of anybody else and belittle you? And if I did, quote unquote, do something that you perceive to be such, that is belittling you or mocking you or doing anything, that I discussed what it is that my intent was and that I was willing then to come on the show and talk about it? Is that what you wanted from me? That's what you got, Todd. That's what you got. Thank you for watching. If you have a video you'd like for us to cover, use the submit link in the description or pinned comment. If you enjoyed this one, consider subscribing and hit the bell to be notified of future content. Be sure to check out all of the other content we have for your edutainment. We will continue to respectfully exercise our First Amendment rights and publish the interactions we have with government officials. Remember to like, share, and leave a comment. It's the easiest way for you to let us know your thoughts about our channel.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh.